watching Channel 4, proud to be owned by NBC.
This is the Tom Miller Show, brought to you by Vail and Beaver Creek, by IBM, and by Coors, brewery fresh, pure and natural. It's a true American original. Now, here's Dave Logan with CU head basketball coach Tom Miller.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Tom Miller Show. I'm Dave Logan. Hey, lots of good news around here this week. Buffaloes get their first Big 8 Conference victory of the year as they beat a pretty good basketball team, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, 102-86. And I know that you don't want to go overboard with your first victory, but I would imagine it's got to make you feel pretty happy to get that first one.
Well, it does, Dave, especially the way we got it. We scored a pretty good hunk of points. We gave up too many, but I thought we played well. We shot 56% from the floor. We out-rebounded them. We could do without the turnovers, and I think we can shoot much better from the free throw line. But we played 40 minutes of basketball, and that's what we've been talking about.
I'm sure you don't have to be reminded that it's twice this year you've been over the century mark, and only 9 times in school history. I'm wondering if you're turning into an offensive-minded coach.
Well, I'm not sure that's exactly the case, but when you shoot 56%, you got 3 guys up front, give you 24, 20, and 19. That means that both they're doing their job and the guards are doing their job getting the ball inside.
We'll talk about some excellent performances by 2 or 3 guys. Actually, the entire team played well as you take a look at some of the highlights. The Oklahoma State Cowboys, of course, yesterday beat the #1 ranked Oklahoma Sooners in Stillwater. As I mentioned, a good young club, but you hung in there the entire game.
Well, we did, and there's a nice pass off from Brian Molas to Steve Wise on a layup. We started out poorly, though. We turned the ball over the first 3 times we had it. Richard Dumas, really a force for them and a very good basketball player. They've got talent, all the positions. Here's a real nice feed into Rodell in the post. Rodell was going pretty well for us before he had a little problem with Byron Houston. He was off to a good start, had 8 points. Steve Wise with a jump shot there. They're a real strong team inside, and we knew we had to play good post defense. Royce Jeffries here had a career against us. He was 9 for 11. 2 Bryans hooking up here. Brian Robinson on the pass, Brian Molas on the back cut.
It looked like you really played good defense for most of the game. You see a great pass here and Rodell with the slam.
Well, and that is a good play, and Rodell took it up strong. I thought we played good post defense. We limited Houston to 12 points. He'd come in averaging 22. Here we give up a steal to Royce Jeffries, and he gets to the hole on us, and that's something we don't want to happen. For the 3-point play opportunity. Randy Robinson with a real nice feed here to Brian Robinson near the end of the first half.
And kept the pressure on Brian again with an exceptional game, 24 points and 12 rebounds, I believe.
Well, a real good job for Brian, and here's a nice pass back out from Reggie Morton to Brent Vaughn for the 3, and we got him in a situation where we opened up things in the second half and let him get back in the game, but then held him off, and from the last 7 minutes didn't let him get closer than 5, which is important. And Thomas Jordan there with a big play inside. Really big bodies in there. They bring in Johnny Pittman and Jordan. Both of those guys are big. Really nice shot fake, pass fake, and the 3-point play opportunity there. Brian Molas making the feed to Sean Vandiver. Brian picks up the loose ball, and Randy Robinson finishes the scoring, I think, with the slam. Good basketball game for us, and obviously not too soon. We needed it. Looking at the statistics there from the floor, 6 for 11 from 3, but the 56% means we're getting high percentage shots and knocking them in the hole. We missed 13 free throws, so again, if we stick the ball from the free throw line, maybe it's a better situation, 6 more rebounds. The turnover is 19 we can do without.
I guess aside from the fact that you get your first victory, you had a big lead, I think 14 points in the second half. They make a run, and your kids are able to hang in there and really turn them back.
Well, I think that's a good point, Dave, because they're an explosive ball club, and obviously with the job they did yesterday against Oklahoma, says something about their team. But I think it also says something about college basketball in the league, where anything can happen in the league. We're happy that we nailed the one down, and where we had been getting people close and then letting them get ahead of us late in the game. We really just hung in there and just applied a little more pressure defensively, execute a little bit better offensively.
As you might expect, everybody excited. First Big 8 Conference victory of the year, and it's been a while coming, but it was a great game. 102-86, CU beats the Oklahoma State Cowboys. We'll come back and take a look at some of the great plays around the country this week in college basketball. And certainly a lot of action.
Sure, Dave, and it looks like the guy that gets into that #1 position is on the hot seat. No one's really been able to hold it down except for Duke early in the season, and they've had a couple tough losses. But I think as you look at the different conferences and the races, you see that anybody can beat anybody.
We'll come back, as we told you, and take a look at some of the great highlights of this weekend's action in college basketball. That last game, of course, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, the #1 ranked Sooners, go down to defeat in Stillwater yesterday to Oklahoma State. And as you mentioned, #1 is maybe not the place to be so early in February.
Well, and #1 right now isn't going to mean a whole lot at the end of the season. If you just look at Kansas last year and where they finished in the NCAA tournament. But I think the thing that shows really out of the Oklahoma State game is the fact that anybody can beat anybody, and they went and they just outplayed them for 40 minutes.
Indeed. I'll come back, and you'll see two important folks to the CU basketball program next. Show. We've been joined in studio by a couple of guys that are very close to the CU basketball program. Mike Connors on your left, an assistant basketball coach, and Mark Larson, the strength and conditioning coach for the entire CU athletic department. Mike, let me start with you. Some of your duties as an assistant coach, obviously you coach the kids when you get a chance, but you recruit an awful lot too.
Sure, recruiting takes up quite a bit of time. We'll recruit in the summer for 3 weeks. We'll recruit, make home visits to prospective student athletes in the fall. And starting this Wednesday, Bobby and I are going back out on the road for probably another month and seeing some kids play.
Bobby being Bobby Wilkerson. How much, would it be safe to say that as an assistant coach on the collegiate level, you have to enjoy recruiting and, I suppose, travel?
Sure. I mean, you can't dislike. I mean, you don't want to just get off the plane and go rent the cars if you don't like that sort of thing. You got to really enjoy sitting, driving 3 hours and watching a 40-minute game and then driving back 3 hours in the middle of a snowstorm.
Which is not, I guess, the easiest thing to do. Let me ask you also, what kind of player specifically? Is there something, a mold of a certain player that you know will fit Tom's style?
Well, I think, first of all, I like to see how a kid fits in the team concept, whether or not he's just out there looking to get his points for the night and go back and not worry about whether his team won or lost. And secondly, I think we like to see how he does on the defensive end. If he's going to do a good job shutting down the opponent's best player, if he's going to rebound, do the little things also besides just shooting jump shots.
Mark, let me ask you, I know that, excuse me, that the job you've done with the CU football program, how can you incorporate some of your ideas with the basketball players?
Well, basically what we try to set up is a program that's specific to the needs of basketball. And we're trying to enhance their jumping ability, their endurance, so that they can play 40 minutes at a top level, and basically try to also to help them to prevent injuries. So it's really a multifaceted approach to improving their performance as athletes in general, but specifically to enhance their abilities as a basketball player.
So I would imagine, much like the football players, you work on stretching before you do anything.
Absolutely. Warm-up and stretching before any type of weight training workout or before practice is very important. Also, doing some type of stretching after a workout is essential, too.
As far as the weight training itself, do basketball players actually lift weights?
Basketball players, believe it or not, do lift weights. Believe it or not, there was a time when they didn't, and I think probably back in the day when you played, they didn't lift weights.
Didn't go near the weight room.
But weight training has become a very important thing for basketball players in the last 5 to 10 years, and Coach Miller stresses it tremendously, and our players work very, very hard. They work as hard as any of our other athletic teams.
Interesting. Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot. You've been with Tom Miller for 5 years. How have you seen him change during the course of that time?
You see, I don't think I've really seen him change. I think he's adapted to different situations on the court, in practice, off the court, in recruiting situations and recruiting certain kids. I think Coach has a philosophy, and he's stuck with that. But you know, through the years, I've seen him just modify certain things and just adapt to, you know, different game situations in practice.
Which is what good coaches have to do.
Yeah, it's important.
Hey, listen, guys, thanks for coming down. Mark, I'll see you in the weight room at about 10 o'clock tonight. Thanks, guys. We'll come back, and the Coach's Clinic is next on the Tom Miller Show. Stick with us. Coach's Clinic, and Tom likes to stress some of the fundamentals that maybe some youngsters can get to something out of, and free throw shooting is certainly important. I see a lot of not only college players but pro players that simply don't do it right or don't do it often enough to have a good feel for it.
Well, David, it's so true. I mean, if a guy could convert all his free throws or a high percentage, you know, over 80%, he's going to really contribute, especially in a pressure situation. A guy can come in, make a couple free throws. We do a lot of different things when we shoot free throws. We usually shoot 2 at a time. We may shoot in a one-on-one pressure situation where if you miss the first one, you actually miss 2. We've done a lot more of that this year where we'll shoot 4 guys at a basket, shooting 17 out of 20. If they don't make that, they run. Here we're doing some paired shooting, and so much of shooting is the catch, the square up, the triple threat position, using your legs. So many guys will go out. Shooting is probably the one thing that most people will work on without any kind of incentive or encouragement. But to shoot properly is even more important, not how long you shoot. Dave Kuzman here has great release and real good form. Brian Moles also is a good shooter when he uses his legs. Steve Wise has really improved as a shooter this year. And I think what really separates good shooters is the fact that they take good shots, they know their range, they know what is a good shot for them. They also understand the flow of the game and what we have to be doing. Now, here Rodell's working a little bit of post moves because we work with both our inside guys and our perimeter guys, try and get them to work on the shots that they're going to have the greatest opportunity to take in a game situation. House is so strong and explosive, he wants to be able to make his moves down inside the dotted line 8 to 10 feet or so, also square up and take the elbow jump shot right here. and use a shot fake and really be explosive, because he does have such good leg drive, and when he uses his legs and when he uses his strength, he's very effective for us.
Every coach that I ever played for said shooting was very, very important, but the way you shot, you had to shoot the basketball the same every time you shot it.
Well, I think that's really important. And then I think when you shoot by yourself, a lot of guys develop bad habits. They shoot the kind of shots that they shoot in a horse game, not necessarily at the time and the tempo or feel the pressure coming into the game. A guy can knock the lights out with nobody around, and then as soon as you stick a defensive man on, put the time on the clock and a crowd in there, sometimes that changes the guy's shot a little. You have to at least visualize shooting against the toughest defender that you're going to play against.
And visualize it going in, too.
Well, that's part of it, too.
I tried that. It didn't work many times for me.
I've seen you on film, Dave. I know you could shoot.
So you know I'm telling the truth. We'll come back, and the University of Nebraska is next. We'll take a look at the Cornhuskers on the Tom Miller Show. Top 10 and a Big 8 conference team find themselves in the #1 spot.
I think Missouri is just playing so well. They really did a number on Kansas State, although it was a little bit closer than I think some people expected, but the job they did over at Kansas was amazing. Arizona just continues to win, home or on the road, and getting great play from Sean Elliott. Oklahoma gets beaten at Oklahoma State, but I think it's still going to take a pretty good team to beat them. North Carolina's been playing better. Georgetown with a big win this weekend. They're getting really excellent play from a lot of people. Alonzo Mourning is playing like super. He's not a freshman. Louisville, even without Purvis Ellison, is going to be a very good basketball team. They're really deep. Florida State had a real close one this weekend. Seton Hall is going to bounce back. They're a very good basketball team, very explosive, good balance. Duke gets a big win at Notre Dame today. And Indiana, I think you got to look at their schedule. I mean, they're playing the #1 ranked schedule in the country. They beat you in a lot of different ways. They beat you with their heads and their execution. Really a very good basketball team.
Then we take a look at the Big 8 standings, and Missouri continues to lead there.
Missouri's tough. They've got a game coming up here later this week with Oklahoma. It should be pretty interesting because I think it's over in Norman. The Sooners are still in excellent position. I think it could be a dogfight between those two teams, but Oklahoma State's probably going to get a shot at another one of them again, and it'll be interesting. Kansas tripped a little this weekend. Nebraska got them over in Nebraska. They had a poor shooting game, but Nebraska's a very good team and plays real well at home. K-State had a tough one at Missouri. I think they lost 13 down there. Iowa State was off, but they've got the 2 games starting with the Tuesday game. Nebraska, like we did, got our first win. And they'll come in here with some momentum, and we've got to be ready to play them.
You talked about that Nebraska game. Is it good that they got their first conference win? They beat Kansas 74-70.
Well, I think it could go either way. I'm not really concerned about what they did. The fact that they won a big game. Kansas had their opportunities. Here's Manning at the end of a pass from Clifford Scales. But they've been playing a little bit like us. They had Oklahoma down 3 with about 3 minutes to go in the game and got beaten. They've played well, and they're a good basketball team. They've got good balance and size. Leonard Hamilton's team here we'll see again on Saturday. It's Dumas getting away from the pack in the Oklahoma game. So we have about a day in between there. Thomas Jordan in there in the post, and they were really pumped up. They beat Oklahoma last year down there, and Dumas with a steal takes it the length of the floor. So having just played them a week ago, actually 10 days in between, we'll have a pretty good feel for what we have to do at Oklahoma State. But the big one right now is Nebraska, and they're going to come in here. They've beaten us both times up here and both times down in Lincoln. So it's about time, we get ourselves ready to play them because they're going to come in here with a lot of confidence.
Aside from the obvious, which would be play like you did in the previous home game, anything special you have to do against Nebraska?
Well, I think we really have to control their guards. Scales and Johnson are playing a pretty good basketball for them. Johnson was shut out first half, had 9. In the second half, Scales had 16. But they can also throw a lot of size at you with the King kid, who's about 7'2". Van Polgeest, the big, strong kid from Holland, had 10 rebounds, fouled out in 20 minutes. Bo Reed gives them a lot up front. Pete Manning really does a nice job for them. They got another junior college kid, Richardson, who's about 6'7", 6'8", who can score from the outside. It really helps them.
Dan, if you can, take a look ahead some 6 days to Oklahoma State and the Cowboys as we take a look at the CU sports calendar. Wednesday, the Lady Buffs will be at Missouri, of course, CU and Nebraska. You can see all the action at the CU Events Center. That on Wednesday. Saturday, both the men's and women's team will be at home, and they'll both play both will play Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State.
In Stillwater, and that'll be, again, another big situation for us. The Lady Buffs have been playing real well. I think they're 8-0 in the conference and had a nice win against Iowa State last night. But they're playing real well, and, you know, we've got an opportunity here with the game at home on Wednesday with Nebraska. We go away to Stillwater and then come back for 2 more games at home with K-State and Oklahoma. So this 4-game stretch that we're entering right now is really a key stretch for us.
Well, we'll wish you luck on Wednesday and Saturday and hope that the upcoming show will have a couple of wins to talk about.
Thanks very much, Steve.
All right, we'll invite you to come back and join us same time, same place next Sunday on the Tom Miller Show. Good night, everybody.
This has been the Tom Miller Show, brought to you by Vail and Beaver Creek, by IBM, and by Coors Light, the best beer for a good long time. Coors Light, the silver bullet.